Hello, New Rochelle. Welcome to another edition of What Matters Most. We are taping at Trinity Elementary School, where everything you do matters. First, for some good news. Congratulations to our newly formed New Rochelle High School debate team. The team won a round at their very first competition, debating whether social media is beneficial for democratic values. And congratulations to our student art contest winners. 6 students district-wide submitted their art for our annual district holiday greeting card, which is connected to our special guest. We'll get to him in a minute. But first, some fun facts. Did you know that a bolt of lightning is 5 times hotter than the sun? And did you know that more than 3 billion Christmas cards are sold in the United States and United Kingdom each year? And finally, did you know that a violin is made from more than 700 individual pieces of wood? I didn't. We have a very special guest in studio today. I wanted to welcome Deepak Murwa, our director.
Thank you for having me.
Performing and Visual Arts. It's so great to have you. Welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here.
Did you know that about the violin?
I did not. 700 parts, that's pretty awesome.
Even our director of arts is learning stuff every day. That's incredible. Well, anyway, it's so great to have you. Again, welcome. You know, I think you started in New Rochelle a little bit before I did.
1 year before you.
1 year, yeah. 1 year. So, you know, talk a little bit about, you know, what was it that brought you to New Rochelle? Sure. You know, and, you know, what are you most proud of in the 2+ years that you have been here?
Absolutely. This is now the middle of my 3rd year here at New Rochelle. And I think it all really I come here because of who I am as a person. So my parents both immigrated here from Asia. My father immigrated here in the 70s from India. My mom from the Philippines. Was born in the Bronx and raised in Queens. And, you know, my whole life I knew that music was always there. It was a way that my parents could communicate with each other. While my mother came with her folk tradition music, my dad listened to a lot of Indian music. They really started to connect based on the music of the 70s and 80s and stuff. So it was always a big part of my life. During high school, I was accepted to the High School of Performing Arts, known as the Fame School in New York City. And from that point on, I knew that I wanted music to be a career. From the first time I ever sat in a music class there, it really changed my life. And I started to really think of the power of music education in creating community, in helping us to really accept or to understand each other without really thinking about any barriers. Because at LaGuardia High School, you had students that were multimillionaires, billionaires, sitting next to students that lived across the street in the projects. You know, students that had never had music training but were remarkably talented, sitting right next to people that had training for years and years. So I started to realize that the arts was something that really equalized us as people, that helped us give us something that we could really talk about together without really thinking of any of the divisions. So after LaGuardia High School, I studied music education, and I taught at Bayside High School in New York City for a couple of years. I left to move to Chicago, and I did a master's in opera performance. I'm an opera singer. And then I came back and was lucky enough to be hired at LaGuardia High School of the Arts, which was my alma mater, to teach voice and choir there for 6 years before I decided to do administration. Right. So since then, I've been an arts administrator. I started at Baldwin School District in Long Island. And before I got to New Rochelle, I was at the Byram Hill School District in northern Westchester. All wonderful places to be. But I came back to New Rochelle because of the diversity. It reminded me of New York City. It reminded me of a place where the arts could really be transformative, could really help people understand how to use the arts to communicate with each other. Right. And that's why I'm here, and that's why I love it here.
I love it. I love it. And of course, you came to a pretty successful program, our PAVE program, right? And but talk about your vision for PAVE, and you know, and where have things been? And I know I was just at Albert Leonard Middle School the other night for their band and orchestra performance, you know, and a couple of great young music teachers that you've hired and brought to the district. So talk a little bit about where you want to take things.
Great. So coming here, I was so lucky to inherit this wonderful program from the predecessors. I think it was Dr. Dominic Guastafaro who started PAVE, and then Mark Schneider, who was my predecessor here. Next year is actually the 25th anniversary of the PAVE program. So we'll be celebrating a lot of things PAVE in the year to come. But what I've seen here is that the program itself is very strong, and what I want to do is I want to make sure that every single student, regardless of where they live, has an opportunity to really have a for what I call a world-class arts education. So regardless of what barriers might be in place, or regardless of your interest, I want them to know that there is a home for them in the arts. And in the PAVE program specifically, they could explore music, vocal music, band, orchestral, or acting, dance, and the other visual arts. And no matter what they think they might be into, they can explore. And at the high school, we've already started expanding some of the electives to make sure that there is a home for each person there. And we're building a pathway from the elementary school all the way up to the high school to make sure students have access to it.
Right, adding music teachers, adding art teachers.
Absolutely.
We have a dance teacher at Isaac Young now this year, and their first performances were really incredible. A few weeks ago, I attended, I think it was maybe your first, it was a convocation, right? Now you think of convocations typically at the beginning of the year, but you did yours in November, but there we are, 7:30, 7:40 in the morning. There were students dancing, acting, singing, showing their artwork. Talk a little bit about that, because again, 7:30 in the morning, students and faculty and staff they're on the go, they're excited, they're energized, they're getting into school.
Yeah, it's actually 7:22 in the morning.
Okay.
So the students are there and ready to work. It's one of the most inspirational things you could ever see. You get there at 7:22, the students are ready to work. You have 100 kids between the vocal program, the band program, all over the place, and they are working in the hallways. So the actual House 4, the arts wing of the high school, really becomes this larger art studio where the students not only stay in the classrooms, but they expand out. And the teachers, because they know that they're all working at the same time, they collaborate with each other. So for example, this year, I think it's the Visual Arts 2 class, the level 2, they're coordinating with the freshman acting classes in analyzing poetry and turning the poetry to film, turning those films into pieces of art. So it's this real big circle where now the students are looking at one, like the written piece of poetry, and then really translating it through their artistic mediums. The vocal students are always sharing with one another. Also, they're learning not only popular tunes, but they're learning classical music, preparing them for auditions. So should they choose to go into further studies, they'll have the background that they need. And this happens in all of the outlets.
I loved it. I remember talking to a student. They had one project. I think it was working with is it the Mobius circle?
Mobius strips, yes.
Mobius strips.
Yes.
And I asked him what was the biggest surprise of the project. They had to work in threes across different grade levels. And he said the first thing we did was we got to know each other. So we interviewed. We took turns interviewing each other. And while we were being interviewed, the other student was doing a little self-portrait. And he said, I didn't realize how much math was involved in art, right? So the cross-disciplinary is, do you want to speak a little bit to that?
Well, that to me was a really great project because it was the first time that we've actually been here at the beginning of the school year. So when I actually went into the cafeteria, we had, I would say, probably around 80 different artists in there, all working collaboratively, and they didn't know each other. The teachers had prepared them with these strips of paper that showed them the outline of what I think a Mobius strip, like the starting process of a Mobius strip, and the students were just there talking to each other. And I asked the teachers what was happening because I wasn't aware of this, just the first time I saw it. And they were just like, look, we do this every single year, and it generated so much energy. I went from table to table asking them what they were thinking, and it was just interesting to see students across different grade levels who experiment with different mediums, all getting to know one another.
I know you've talked about the importance. I mean, PAVE is a specific program, and there are auditions which are coming up in March. But if I'm a student and I have an interest in art, I can take an elective.
Absolutely. Right? Yeah, if you're at the high school and you're interested in art and not necessarily wanting to dig into the PAVE program, which is a pretty intensive program, you can take anything from graphic design, photography, clay, sculpture, drawing, and painting. I mean, there are so many things. If students want to explore music, we have beginning piano classes, a brand new music technology class, which now students are doing everything from creating compositions of their own to now even voicing audiobooks, which is pretty awesome. And we also have guitar classes and stuff like that. In addition to the ensembles, band, orchestra, and choir.
And if I'm interested in PAVE, when are those auditions?
I think it's March 3rd. Applications are going to be due February 2nd, and everyone will be getting information in the next week.
Okay, that will be going out to our families, correct?
Yep, all 8th grade families will receive an information packet.
That's great. Now, I know that we had Mr. Weber on our show a few weeks ago talking about the science research program, and one of the things he likes to pride himself on is, he says if you have a love of science and you're willing to work hard, science research could be a place for you. Is that similar with the arts? If
Absolutely.
you have a love,
Yeah.
if you even have a curiosity and you're willing to work hard?
Absolutely. I think one of the biggest misconceptions about the arts is that you have to already be what they call talented. But what they don't realize is that everyone is innately talented. It's just a matter of getting to know what your talent level is and finding a really great teacher to help you grow that talent. And so many people come into an art or music class thinking, well, I'm not good at that. And then within a month or two realize that they're actually quite great at it. So it's a matter of being courageous enough to say, I want to learn more about it, jumping right in, and then letting all of that take over.
Right, right. I'm sure you've had a lot of great mentors and role models in your day. Is there
Absolutely.
one in particular or a particular saying or expression that maybe you want to have the final word and share with our audience and our students?
Sure. I mean, I think my mentors have always really just helped me understand that no matter where we are, we're exactly where we're supposed to be. And I think that the arts really tell us that, because no matter where you are in the process, whether or not you think you've made a mistake or whether or not you think that you're good, that's exactly where you need to be developmentally. So arts education really will meet a student exactly where they are and help them grow to where they need to be.
Yeah. I think well said. I'm sure your parents will be really proud of you today. So
Thank you.
We're so thrilled that you're here. You're in New Rochelle. You're part of it, and you've got a vision to build. And we're on the map, and we're only getting bigger.
Absolutely.
So, thank you so much.
you.
It's been great to have you on the
Yes.
show. We're going to have you come back, and we'll talk about something in addition to the next Mobius strip. Okay?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Sounds good. Thanks.
There we go, New Rochelle, another edition of What Matters Most. So glad you were able to join us. Wishing everybody a wonderful holiday season, and we'll see you back here real soon. Okay, thanks. Take care, New Rochelle.